Hi everybody and welcome to Hex Token channel, Superman Crypto and Pulsechain YouTube, streaming to over 10,500 subscribers, and welcome to everybody that's joining today. Big shout out to Abit, a community leader, for making all this possible with Algo PUSD. I really appreciate all the efforts there, and we look forward to ramping up the PUSD algo as people learn more about it. I think it's going to be very, very exciting, and so I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully you guys will be able to get a lot out of this show today. And it's going to be pretty impressive in interviewing one of the smartest, brightest devs in the Pulsechain community, and that is Jacob. And we're going to be talking about PUSD algo. We're going to be focusing a lot on the questions in the chat. So if you have questions, get them in. We're going to be going through all those during the chat. It's going to be really, really, really fun to do. So really make sure your questions are constructive. Really important that the constructive questions, but if you've got any questions, definitely check it out. I know that most of you have probably seen a lot of the current prototype of the PUSD algo, and we understand it's going to be a bit of a refresher coming up, so we could probably ask about that. The other one, of course, is I posted out lots of little video clips from the last interview I did with Jacob, and if you want to see the dashboards and the stability miners, all the details, that those video clips have a lot of content on them. So really, we're going to try and find out a lot more. If you've got any deep diving questions, get those into the chat. We really will have a lot of fun with that. We've also got a big giveaway, so let's get into that. And the big giveaway at the moment, of course, is on during the live stream there. 15 million PLS giveaway there from Jacobs and, of course, the PUSD algo. Pretty amazing, really. And it's worth currently, well, at least at the time of writing, it was worth $769. I think that's gone up in value because Pulse has been moving up, so that's a good chance of that. That's 5 winners. So 5 winners will win 3 million PLS each. And of course, Abit, the community lead for PUSD algo, is running that on behalf of the PUSD algo team with Jacob. So pretty amazing stuff there. All you have to do is retweet the link, of course. And I think I posted it up here. So let's just go check that out in the chat. I'm going to find that briefly. Let's see where that is. Here we go here. So this one here, you always have to go to follow Abit there. That's at near the top of the chat. And of course, you'll be able to participate. I think it's also pinned to the top of the message board as well. So go in there, retweet out, just follow the instructions. And of course, you will be able to be eligible for that. Now, I understand that it's probably going to be drawn before the end of the live stream. So let's have a quick look at that. Yeah. For the giveaway, every retweet on Twitter will be eligible. This is Abit talking. I'll DM 5 winners on the Twitter before the YouTube live stream is over to give further instructions. So definitely get into that now ASAP if you are going to be participating in that. Pretty cool. So it's just during the live stream. Pretty amazing giveaway. Of course, 50 million pulse. That's a pretty big deal. And get into that contest if you can as well. Now we're going to be talking about talking to Jacob about it. So but without further ado, let's get Jacob up and running. We've got quite a few people in the chat already. And a big welcome to everybody. But let's bring Jacob up. I think it's time to get going. Let's do that now. All right. Hey, Jacob, welcome to the show. And it's a really pleasure having you on again today for the second time as we go for a bigger deep dive into the PUSD algo stablecoin and stability miner, the first algo stablecoin on Pulsechain. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Superman. Thank you for the invitation. I'm pleasure to be here and looking forward to what you have today.
Fantastic. So we know that I did a live stream with you. I don't know, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half. And since then, you've had a big, giant Twitter space. I think there was over 2,000 people listen to that on Twitter, which is pretty amazing. And Abit's been leading a lot of that stuff. And you appointed Abit as community lead, which I thought was a fantastic move. So really, the momentum is growing and interest is definitely getting bigger and bigger.
Yes, that's correct. We decided to partner up with Abit for this project, because we really believe that he had the perfect profile to be able to reach the community with a good and creative approach. And not only that, he even prior to us getting in talk with them, had a passion and had a deep dive into the ecosystem itself, which was obviously just a even better match, right? So we feel like it's an organic interest, and we feel like it's already paying off to the extent that more people in the community are now aware of what we are trying to accomplish over here.
Absolutely. Abit's very good at targeting value, and so I think it's a pretty good match for sure. Big shout out to Abit for that. Now, I just wanted to get into just a quick brief about yourself again and team before we get into some of the Q&A. I really do invite people to put their questions in the chat, and Jacob will get to answer those. So definitely take the opportunity for that. But just if you could give us a little bit about your team again, just to kick it off.
Sure. We are a 15-man large team, from everything from social media moderators down to the core developers and backends and all of that, so project managers. And we have at least 6 on full-time pay. So we think we are a fairly large team, and we think we are equipped to take upon a challenge like this. We have been building on Pulsechain for 2 years now, 6 people full-time. And we have provided several protocols and put out several ideas that the community have shown amazing support for. So far we feel very blessed to be a part of this ecosystem, and we would like to continue to provide more and more value as we travel along to give Pulsechain the best chance to become the next big thing.
Fantastic. Could you give us a rundown of the projects that you're currently working on at the moment?
Sure. So we are trying to launch Pulsepod as soon as possible after the fetch has now, created the price oracles. But we are still waiting for the fetch to release the random generator oracle. And when that happens, it basically means that we can set the entire product free. It's complete.
Fantastic.
For the final infrastructure.
Awesome. Also, so Pulsepod is probably coming up pretty closely there. Now, we're going to probably do a third interview covering all the rest of your protocols coming up at some stage, probably before the end of December, hopefully. The other thing is you're looking at do PUSD Algo. What was the reason why you wanted to do that, the algorithmic stablecoin, which is really kind of the holy grail in some degrees for stablecoin and passive income? And let me know why you decided to do this project, which I'm excited about. So let's see.
Well, I think if anyone listened to the space last night, I think that there were some good points around how you can expand the money supply and therefore also the interest in the chain, right? Because all of these sites, they're indexing by TVL and like they did with market cap and tokens and DeFi Llama and all of the different sites, they are indexing DeFi through this, how much money, how much capital is locked up on the chain. And one way of increasing the value on the chain is by having an algorithmic stablecoin where you can increase the money supply. And there's a reason why Luna and Terra grew to multiple billions. I think it was like 30, 40 billions. It's because the entire crypto industry knows and understands that this is a needed innovation. This time around, it didn't work out. But, every success is based on many failures, right? So I have a core belief that it needs to happen. It will happen. Will it be me who develops that, last final piece of the puzzle? I hope so, but there's no guarantees. That's why it's an experiment. But we will put all of our creativity and our power and all of our experience into attempting to fit that last puzzle in.
That's fantastic. So in terms of the opportunity I felt a lot of dialogue that was missing from Twitter Spaces today was the fact that people didn't understand that the stablecoins have to circulate, they have to have some sort of multiplier effect, they have to help take supply off the markets. These sort of things were missing from the stablecoin. Did you have any view on terms of its potential impact on the Pulsechain more broadly?
Was it the liquid loans you referenced?
No, I was referring to PUSD. Obviously, any stablecoin like USDL. At the moment, USDL, for example, at the moment, it's just got about $10.5 million worth of stablecoins now. And it's got about heading towards 3% of the pulse supply off the market that's collateralizing those stablecoins. But however, about 62% of those stablecoins are sitting in stability pool there, and so only the difference is the potential for actually buying other assets and take them off the market, so on and so on, getting that multiplier sort of cycling effect as well.
Well, there will definitely be game theory around PUSD and algo, and you would be able to do different yield strategies, and you'll based on your risk profile, and you will be able to do some arbitrage and some different strategies. And I think as the protocol grows in development, we will also outline all of these opportunities more clearly as we finalize some of those balances and levers that needs to be inside of the immutable part of the contracts.
Yeah. Talking about that connection between USDL, which is liquid loan stablecoin backed by using the liquidity fork, and your innovation is completely new in that sense. Is you were talking about last time you're doing eDai, but now you in that discussion you talked about moving to USDL, which I thought was a nice move. Have you had any more clarity around that?
I think the clarity we currently have is that we won't build the protocol around the bridged keys. So because if our bottleneck or our fallback mechanism is the bridge keys, it would seem wrong to try and achieve an algorithmic stablecoin that had a bridge key as a fallback. Other than that, we also want to have the native asset involved slightly more than we have in the initial documentation, and we believe that we can piggyback on the stability of the liquidations through liquid loans in a way that we can have a smaller liquidity pool where we simply peg PUSD with the USDL. So that is the current plan, but algo will most likely be pegged to, not pegged to, but paired with PLS in that large pool that we will have there.
Yeah, okay, cool. So there will be two, I guess there will be two main pools. There'll be this algo, probably USDL pool potentially, and PUSD, USDL. Those sort of the two big pools, as I understand it.
Well, the protocol will have two pools, and that will be algo / PLS, and it will be USDL with PUSD. But there will obviously be pools for these tokens outside of what this protocol offers, but we expect that the protocol will be designed in a way where we will grow the deepest liquidity. But that doesn't mean that others wouldn't be able to move it over to Pulsechain, some of the tokens, and start earning their own trading fees upon the same tokens.
Okay, fantastic. Now, can you build out on that, how it will build up a big, deep liquidity pools? I'm pretty interested in that.
Yes, there's multiple ways of doing that. So, for instance, every time someone mints stablecoin, you have an excess of algo. What do we do with this? Well, we can burn it, we can put it into a treasury like Luna did, or we can use it to increase the liquidity in the pool, right? But you also need the other side to do it effectively. So what happens when the peg is over $1 on PUSD? That means we practically have free USDL we can take out of the pool. And then we basically utilize that stable value of an external asset to then put back into the ecosystem and the protocol.
Okay, fantastic. Could you just give a quick, we've talked about liquid loans, of course, we talked about Terra Luna, the previous algo model in the last bull market, the big thing. Could you just give a quick rundown of what PUSD algo is and why it's different, and or what different approach you've taken compared to Terra Luna?
Yes, surely. Terra Luna is managed by burning and minting, so they are just simply assuming a peg in theory based on a supply management. It's the same as saying if Richard Hart burned 95% of the tokens, would the price go up 10x immediately? It probably should, but it probably wouldn't, right? Simply because price on the DEX is a matter of market psychology and arbitrage, whereas when you do it in the Luna way, they were just expecting people to understand that when you burn a certain amount of supply, it should then automatically have that price protected.
Yeah.
We believe that it's easier for retailers and end users and consumers to understand a more transparent peg where it's maintained through buy and sell orders directly on the pair. So by the way we do that is by creating a massive limit order contract we call Stability Miner. And anyone can supply that Stability Miner with capital. When you lend your capital to the Stability Miner, all that does is that now the system has capital to buy up PUSD if it falls under $1. So the more money that comes into this contract, the more transparent value will be basically backing the peg of PUSD. So why should someone lend their capital to defend the peg of a PUSD? Well, first and foremost, it could be nice that, if we want Pulsechain to succeed, well, this is probably one of the better things that you could spend your capital on, right? Because proving to the outside world that we have a algorithmic stablecoin could be quite powerful, to say it the least. Other than that, you obviously have the protocol earnings where you, like in Hex, for instance, where you create a stake, it longer pays better, bigger pays better. It would be the same with the stability miner. So if you provide a large amount of capital for a longer period of time, then you would basically earn a higher interest of algo token paid out when your stability miner comes to an end. In the time duration that you have specified, right? So we believe that is the effect of doing that is basically that you take advanced DeFi users that can supply the capital for other users to simply just utilize the stablecoin, so it becomes more frictionless in the sense. If you want to go to liquid loans, you have to put up $20,000 to start, right?
Yeah.
That's not frictionless. That is a whale's game. So here, by basically removing the supply from the user, we are separating that. We are just asking others to provide the stability and the capital for others to basically utilize it and then pay the fees back to those who are protecting it, right? So that's how we see that the innovation here is simply more transparent and everyone can follow the numbers behind it. Because if we have 10 million DAI or 10 million USDL in the stability miner, and there's only 5 million liquid PUSD at all times, that means to me that even in a 100% theoretical market dump, the stability miners would easily keep the peg. Yep. So if that wouldn't even bring it out in a single 1 minute candle, then the psychology is pretty stable, right?
Yeah.
And it's only theoretical that the market would dump 100% of the supply. That's simply not even possible. So we are obviously calculating our collateral ratio in the stability miner slightly lower than 100% because there's no reason to be that much over collateralized. So based on the liquid supply of the token and the capital and stability miner, we are adjusting the inflationary rewards that is paid out to the stability miners through the algo token. So why do we do that? Well, if we have 15 million in stability miners, but only 1 million in liquid PUSD supply, that's unneeded. We don't need that much stability. So we would reduce the inflationary rewards you would get to start a new miner. But where it's more relevant is when we go to the other side, where we have too much liquid supply and too little capital to buy up that off peg. In that case, the protocol will start adjusting the inflationary reward so that it's more appealing for new users to add more capital to the miner. So the idea is that these dynamic adjustable, basically inflationary rewards will completely incentivize users in real time to either don't make new capital miners or start new miners, right? So that's also a part of the interesting aspects of this protocol design, I feel like.
Yeah. So I guess there's going to be 4 tokens, right? So there's going to be PUSD, the stablecoin, which has currently got a prototype live on Pulsechain at the moment. That will be swappable for the real one when PUSD Algo goes live. You've also got Algo, which is kind of like the Luna coin. And what would drive people to purchase that in the future?
To purchase Algo is because you know that first and foremost it's the token that can expand the supply, because you have to use Algo to mint PUSD. Everyone can't just market buy PUSD and we're just rotating the same TVL around. You need to expand the money supply. So you do that by buying Algo and then minting PUSD, and then you burn that Algo, for instance. That's just a buy order that didn't become a sell order again, right? Yeah. So now you pump the price of Algo. So what happens if a lot of large protocols start to realize this is probably a pretty sound algo stablecoin? Now they have to go through algo to basically mint all of this capital and all of these stablecoins.
Yeah.
So, and that's the exact same reason why Luna went up so much, because the token you use to mint the supply will match the TVL as it's growing, right? So it is the speculative part, and it will also be used for the governance part of the protocol, where the governance votes can adjust the dynamic levers, basically.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so there are multiple fundamentals behind Algo, and I would say it's not by chance that Luna went up that much. That's by design.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you got the yield that you get in the staking as well, right? So there's
Yes, exactly. You can do a lot of things with Algo, and then the next one is the Flex token, right? So
yeah.
the Flex token is like a free incentive token you get just to do anything, right? If you make a stake, you get a small amount. If you make a miner, you get a larger amount. If you do anything, minting, redeeming, it's just a way of stimulating activity and daily interest.
Mm-hmm.
So
honestly, really love that idea. I think that's really, really useful for
yes,
adoption.
and where it becomes very, very interesting is that all of the trading fees generated from the main liquidity pair,
Mm-hmm.
all of that will be pushed back to the earn program, and the earn program you can only participate by deploying your flex tokens. So what we're doing is basically that we are forcing people to be active to be able to earn a part of the protocol fees. So imagine that instead of just having a few very passive whales that are just skimming all of the profits, now you're taking that and putting it back to the community who is on the site on a daily making new stakes or making new mints or redeems or sells or buys or miners or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are kind of in a way forced to actually participate if you want to earn a portion of the rewards that the entire protocol is generating. And we think that could be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, some whales would be able to just outright buy the flex tokens from all of the active users. It's almost like you buy people to go and mine gold for you, right? And then you still get the gold and you just bought their time, right? You could see scenarios here the same where someone would just buy it off these people who do all of the activity, and then they just stake that to earn the protocol fees, which means that there could become a somewhat speculative market in a flex token's value, right?
Absolutely. You've also got the fourth, I guess, version or token, Wrap PUSD. Talk about a bit about that.
Yes. So the Wrap PUSD solely exists so that we can delay stablecoin reward payouts. Because what you don't want is a stablecoin that inflates. Basically, you want to protect from people from selling it, right? Because that protects the capital from the miners and it keeps in the entire protocol very healthy. So what we do is that when we have to pay out stablecoin rewards to the miners, we pay them out in a wrapped version of the stablecoin. It basically comes wrapped in a time lock, and that time lock has a randomizer. So when you click the button that says, I want to lock this stablecoin up, you either get 80 days, 85, 90, whatever, up to 120 days. This means that when a lot of miners, they exit their position and they get their stable coins, they are not able to immediately dump at the same time. And not only that, they have to delay their reward, and it will be spread out in a 25% variance so that you would see a more even spread in the sales order from the protocol fees they are earning. So that's the entire idea behind wrapping it. That effect will cause also multiple use case scenarios, because as we have spoken about before, I think also is that if you earn 1,000 Wrap PUSD, would you sell those for $800 right now? You probably would if you really needed it. Let's say you wanted a new bicycle for your daughter, right? You need that money. Well, I cannot wait 80 days, right? Because I need whatever capital now, right? So there will be a market where the patient can buy something cheap off the impatient. But the protocol itself will not support a liquidity position for that, nor will it support a liquidity position for Flex. That will be entirely speculated on upon the external market of our participants.
In terms of a lot of these things that you're setting up seem very sustainable, like in terms of the income payment, the incentives, the buy and burn, the V3, all these sort of things just seem to add to powerful sustainability in the project and will probably likely attract a lot of attention, which I guess comes back to that mechanism and the difference between, say, Terra Luna, for example, where it had a lot of people and liquidity being actively pushed in to keep the UST stable, where as opposed to what you're doing is bringing a whole new approach with the stability miners and automating that with limit orders and things like that based on liquidity that people are providing. Is that a good summary of how that's working and the difference?
Yes, I think in the Terra Luna case, obviously it's a failed design if you're dependable on a guy called Do Kwon sitting on a beach with his Twitter, right, and writing, "Don't worry, guys, I'm deploying capital." That is not the purpose of what we're doing. We need to build everything into contracts. It needs to be transparent, immutable, in time, immutable, and that's only when you achieve, true transparency and true trust, right? Because we need to find out what incentives and levers and psychological things you can do so that the protocol basically works completely isolated for itself. Right? We don't want a guy to be able to buy up 2,000 bitcoins worth of the stablecoin because then it doesn't work. So that's as simple as that, right? So I think that's the main difference, is that we are really trying to identify what works in the mind of the people, because that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Now, obviously you're running a sacrifice at the moment. You need a certain liquid, because you've got to set up these liquidity pools with Algo PSD, Algo PSL, PSL. Oh, I forgot the name.
PLS.
PLS. Thank you. Sorry for I forgot the own name. I talk about it every day, but I forgot it. But PLS. So you're setting up these liquidity pools, and you're going to be at the minimum 2, maybe 3 or 4 pools. Is my understanding?
So currently the plan for the launch would be that we would set up initial liquidity for both the stablecoin paired with USDL as it stands at the moment, and then we will set up deep liquidity for the Algo and the PLS. So we have committed 50% of all sacrifice funds will be on day 1 straight into the liquidity pools.
Yeah, and that's very different from a lot of other teams we've seen. So I think that
the average we have seen right now is the average we have seen from other teams is probably around 0.02%. So I think we are gonna this is going to be different. Let me put that.
Yeah. So if you're watching this, everybody, this is a very different kind of sacrifice and a very different kind of project. I think it's going to be pretty impressive. And like I say, it's 50% of the sacrifice funds will be going straight in to make the platform operate in terms of liquidity pools, which is pretty amazing. So no one will be out there, complaining about someone gets so many millions and that you don't see it again going back into the protocol. So I think that's pretty good news.
I think that the rough budgeting we have done is like 50% for liquidity and then 25% for the pre-seeded stability miner. So that basically from day 1, block 1, people can go straight in with the algo token they receive from the sacrifice. They can mint PUSD and just sell it straight up for USDL or even PLS through the algo itself, right? So the idea is that I hope that you would at least have protected the same value because we deployed that much liquidity into the system, and we have stability miner for 25% of the capital, which is ready to buy up anyone who decides to sell on day 1, and I think that at least from my perspective, it would be strange if anyone wanted to sacrifice for a certain amount of time their value and then just immediately retrieve it for a 1-to-1 ratio the same, right? That wouldn't make much sense. But I respect everyone and how they decide to do it, right? But the way we see it is that we will spend 75% of the total funds in basically pre-seeding capital, and then we will spend 25% on audits and development costs. Yeah, that's just a very rough rundown.
Fantastic. So there we are. There's some nice disclosure there for people. The other thing is you have to reach a certain amount, though, right? So there's a caveat. You have to reach a certain amount to actually launch the protocol. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I think that it would make us have the best chance of doing this successfully, I would say.
Is that something that you can't really say until you sort of see how the sacrifice goes, and then you go, "Oh, yeah, okay."
Yeah, I would say so, but I think at this point we have already spent a lot of funds just preparing all of this and doing all of this. We even have there's a lot of stuff that has already gone into it, and at this point, I'm honestly so bullish on this aspect of a stablecoin that, I would probably just put it up myself in that case. Yeah.
All right. I noticed that the sacrifice is really starting to build, though, so it's really exciting. A lot more people hearing about it, and that's only going to ramp up. So pretty awesome. Let's get into some questions. Jacob, are you ready for that? Unless you got something else you want to. Yep. let's see any questions that were in the chat there. So if you want to get your questions in, folks, you haven't got them in now, please get them in the chat there, and just make them constructive, of course, and get them in there if you've got any questions about PUSD algo and of course the sacrifice as well. They're also currently the PUSD stablecoin is currently running as a prototype on Pulsechain. And Jacob, just while we're waiting for some questions, got any thoughts on that? I think I've actually got it up. Should I pull it up on the screen?
Yes, do that.
Let's do that, and let me just remove that away. Let me just add the screen in here. I think it's this one here. And don't forget to get in the PLS giveaway at the moment, so definitely get in that. And that is on. That's gonna be drawn by Abit, I guess towards the end of the live stream. So get on that while you can. Let me just pull up the screen here, and we're going to go to the PUSD. It's currently Peter Dime. We'll full screen this as well. I've got it on the hourly time horizon. Is that adequate?
Yep, looks great to me.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's exactly on $1, which is pretty amazing. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, my thoughts are my code is working as expected. I have deployed 45 arbitrage bots that has in total roughly $50,000 in capital across all the bots. And we've deployed multiple stability contracts and also actually a centralized hot wallet run from cloud instances. So I think we are currently pretty on top of the peg. I'm not too worried.
All right, awesome. I'm just trying to catch up on these questions here. And let me pull those up. The other thing I was going to say is if we quickly look at these other stable coins at the moment, we've got USDL, which has been slightly overpegged. It was underpegged, and USDL's been ticking away here, and it's now been above peg, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, with the more bullish market at the moment as well.
Yeah, I will say as a disclaimer though that these charts does not deserve any comparison because this here is a distributed token to the community. It's much more distributed. The current PUSD, we are sitting on like 98% of the supply, which means that we completely decide the price basically.
Right.
So
cool.
it would be wrong to compare these charts.
Sure. Here's the Coast one. This one's backed by fiat at the moment. It's been kind of underpegged for a while, although it's always redeemable for $1 fiat, but that's kind of at the moment. I just thought it's interesting to look at these ones.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, pretty interesting. All right, we're going to get into a lot of the stuff. Obviously, the sacrifice is open now, and you can check that out. The link's in the video description as well. I see with bonuses, we're up to 334,000 at the moment, so it's been ticking up. It's actually been jumping pretty decently the last day or two. So definitely interest and is starting to build on this. So. And we're just hit day 15, which is very important to get in today because it's going to step down in terms of the X bonus down slightly from 1.5 to 1.25 on the bottom of the range. If you're doing over $1,000, that matters. So that's ticking away. Let's see what questions we got. Darknet says, Jacob, order bullish. Yeah, definitely bullish on that one. Let me pull up a different format there. Let's see here. I know some people are talking about a TRH v4 update, but I think we're going to be doing that the next live stream. Isn't that right, Jacob?
Yep, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's the plan. So Jacob will let us know when that's ready for updating. Let's see what else we got here. Fusion Stream says, I just bought PUSD. What happens to it when launch happens?
We will set up a contract where you can navigate and swap one-to-one with this PUSD. Otherwise, just sell it back to the pool before we remove the liquidity. I would advise that. Just take your DAI back.
Sweet. Another one here about the V4. Yeah, we'll do that in another live stream. Just to let you guys know. Fusion Streams will redeem for one. I guess talking about the PUSD.
Yes,
there,
of course.
Yep.
So if you want to try arbitraging, go for it.
This is the new algo stablecoin. I'm saying from Abit on X. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. Just go there. Hyper is bullish on PUSD. I like it in the ecosystem.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Let me jump through those. So 4 tokens total incoming.
Yes, correct.
Let's see what else we got on the questions here. Get your questions in, folks. We got one here from Shillem here. Getting liquidity right out of the gate is so important. And I think
that most of all, it's important for the community sentiment. I think that a lot of users has been slightly disappointed by what has happened to, what they considered very large sacrifices. And I think it's fair to say that humans, they react with emotions, right? And we obviously there's been some miscommunication there or whatever actually happened. But in this case here, we luckily will not have that problem because we simply cannot even deploy this technology without preceding that liquidity. So it's that simple.
Yeah, that's simple, yeah. Another one here, Go Superman. Any hints on TRH V4 strategy? Once again, we'll be having a third live stream and that will cover TRH and other protocols, so stay tuned for that. Is USDL supported for the sacrifice?
No, unfortunately it's not. Because when we launched it, the USDL was not live, so we haven't coded in support for that on the chain. Otherwise, we would have.
Comanche says the site shows you what tokens are accepted. So let's have a quick look at that just to clarify that. So if you go up to the accepted tokens up the top here so if you go to sacrifice on the link's in the video description if you want to get access to that. Click accepted and it's got Pulsechain and Ethereum and it's got all the accepted tokens there, which is basically DAI, USDC, USD Tether, Pulse, Pulsex and Hex there. So that's on both Pulsechain and Ethereum. You can sacrifice from any of those tokens for the amount that you so choose to this address here. There is a little disclosure as well you can read, but that's pretty much it. So just decide how much you want to participate. Obviously, if you do over 1,000, you're going to get access to this second bonus, which is what we call bonus X there. And we're on day 15, which is the last day of the highest potential range of that bonus. So you get a random number between 1.5 and 2x. And today's the last day. So you guys are listening on the right time to get in on that opportunity.
Yeah, this entire bonus structure is only relevant if you're sacrificing more than $1,000. Otherwise, it actually doesn't matter when you're sacrificing.
Yeah, that's right.
And the only thing that you are doing is that you are increasing your multiplier risk to the downside. So the upside is the same, but you're just increasing the window for a lower multiplier on a above $1,000 sack. So the longer you wait, the potentially less you will get.
Yeah, right. Let me have a look here. Let's scroll through some of these. Archie says, question, can you please talk about the Earn program and how that will benefit participants?
Sure. If you can pull it up, Superman.
Sure. And we'll just get to that view. And bam, let's go to the Earn program. That's this tab here.
Yeah, so let's say that you have now created a free stability miners with different lengths and different capital sizes. You have maybe minted a few stable coins. You have maybe created a few stakes. You have done some swapping and started some unwraps. Through that UI interaction and with the contracts, you would have gotten a straight airdrop to your wallet of Flex token every time you did anything, basically. And when you come here, it would show you how many Flex you have in the top right corner. In this case here, the UI has already deployed some so that the example is better. But if you didn't, there would be nothing underneath here, and you could just start your first deployment of Flex, right? So let's say you had 1,000 Flex, you would deploy them into the Earn program. So everything that matters here is your total pool size. So if there is 100,000 Flex in the pool and you have 1,000 of them, well then you get 1% of all of the incoming fees from the protocol. So everything the protocol is earning, you will basically be earning 1% of that. And that you can just claim dynamically as you wish. You could claim it every 10 minutes if you wanted to, or you could just let it run up and you would see how many days it's since you claimed last time. So it's just a fluid claim where your protocol fees are just going up and up. The only thing that matters here is that you will slowly get diluted in your payout if you don't do any more activity. Why? Because other users, they continue to use the ecosystem and they deploy more Flex, which means that your percentage of the total pool size will just slowly decrease over time if you just sit back and if you just continue to be a inactive participant. And this is a mechanic that we are using to incentivize activity and participation in the community, instead of just saying, I have money, I want to lean back. because that doesn't reach out to new people.
Mm-hmm.
Activity does. So this is a way to kind of build that in more natively at
Mm-hmm.
the bottom.
What I like about this is that you earn flex for doing different things on the platform, like stability miner or staking or any activity, and you actually got a utility providing the income for that, which I think is really clever. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine incentive token, INC, right?
Mm-hmm.
The green one. But now you can actually use it for something.
Yeah.
What this is. Now you can actually deploy it somewhere and start earning money back based on how much you have of it.
Yeah.
So
So if
it's basically the same like that.
Yeah, so Flex is like the incentive token, but it actually has a way of earning
Yes.
on it. So it's fantastic. Yeah, really superior stuff there. All right, very cool. We got another one here. Seldom says people have had a bad taste in their mouth for sacrifices, but you guys have the opportunity to do it right. Could be huge. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true. And, we cannot change the past and what has happened. Obviously, the bear market itself is a massive impact in the sentiment. And I think that if everyone had just minus green numbers, we would all have been, not talking about sacrifices and all of these numbers for developers. I just think it's a natural reaction to the fact that we are in a extended bear market where almost everything is down, right? We are all pointing fingers. But with that said, there's some obvious logic to oversubscriptions to certain protocols and what kind of maximum upper limit they actually have of earning protocol fees, right?
Let's talk about that, because that's something that I've talked about being the upside here, is getting the appropriate amount of capital to get the protocol running, but with the chance for big commercial upside. Whereas a lot of the sacrifices have been well overcapitalized, and a lot of the time you never see that capital again, so it doesn't go back into the protocol. So you get any comments about that?
Sorry, can you just rephrase that or say it again?
It's about a lot of these sacrifices. They've been well overcapitalized, and then a lot of that money you don't see back into doesn't get pumped back into the market. Whereas you're really focused on trying to get the right capital, from what I can tell, with the potential commercial upside being very, very large if it's successful. Yeah.
Well, that's also how I see it. That's a very good way of putting it. So it's obvious that if you copy Pancake Swap from their GitHub, right, and you change the colors to green and black, right, that does not require $600 million, right? That is an obvious oversubscription, right?
Yeah.
So you can argue that you are increasing the social capital by having more ambassadors because more have something vested, and that is definitely true. But it's kind of the same way as I was put it as, do you lend $1 billion to a lemonade stand? No, obviously not. It might be a good business idea, but it will never be able to capitalize on $1 billion in a single small lemonade stand, right? And I think that it's very true that this needs to be adjusted in a well-balanced way. But also, obviously, when you are developing innovative algorithmic stablecoins, you have massive expenses. This cannot be understated. I am in the gear room of this exact thing. These developers are not cheap. Audits are not cheap. White hacker programs and bugs found are not cheap. Like, they come at 10K a piece, right? So servers and all of this stuff just cost a lot of money. So
yeah, and I would say, because we're in DeFi, right? We're not really hanging out on CeFi stuff. Getting capital is much more challenging. So I know people in traditional markets that are brilliant people find it extremely difficult getting capital to fund their ideas. And so and in CeFi it's a little bit easier perhaps, but DeFi, that's a much harder task. I think a community participation and I guess having a stake in the game. Someone else's idea is brilliant. That's the ideas that you and your team bring, and people get a chance to help realize that idea and benefit if it's successful. So I kind of feel like that's a good way forward.
Yep, I agree. Well, this is certainly very, very risky. There's no doubt about it. It's an experiment. But the way I see it is that, why do people play the lottery? They know that, there's literally no chance of winning, but they do it because the upside is so massive,
Massive, yeah.
And this is the same case. If we literally solve an algorithmic stablecoin, I don't even know the words how to phrase that, how much that would mean for Pulsechain. It's like, can't even explain it.
Well, I think that comes back to your mechanism, right? That this is a mechanism that we're backing when they're trying to get rid of the people aspect, get rid of the big supply, minting supply to try and keep the stablecoin pegged, and you guys are taking a different approach with the automated miners and the liquidity miner stability pool. And I think that's kind of a standout there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But the point was more that it was a very, very good thing for Pulsechain if it happened, right?
Absolutely.
So I see this as a completely classic case of innovation. Everyone who innovated anything in the world we live in, they had probably a lot of failures, and they are probably leaned on other people's failures even, right? And the computer or the plane or the car, doesn't really matter. Anything really had probably 10 failures prior to it. So I see this as the same thing. But when the right people hit the right combination, if you are there at that spot in time, then then it's certainly a good place to be, I would say.
Yeah. I'll just go further. There is no development fund in the Pulsechain, right? There's no big wallet that people can get access to. So really, things have to be community driven, and that community driven is great when you've got really smart teams doing smart stuff. And I think that's why, just one of the reasons why I love covering your stuff, Jacob, is because that's making those things two meet together is going to really add value to Pulsechain and individuals going forward.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Any ICO upcoming? Well, I don't cover ICOs because of many of the problems we just kind of alluded to.
I can briefly explain the difference between an ICO and a sacrifice, actually, and it's quite interesting, because if we were to do this as an ICO, I would build a contract that would have a X amount of algo supply already pre-minted into it. And when you send something of value to that contract, the contract would pull the value of that asset through either the liquidity pool or an oracle, and then it would return the according amount of that pre-minted algo token to your wallet. That means in a classic ICO, you are actually getting the token back immediately upon the capital is spent, right? That also means that you have this market upon that token where all of those who participated in the ICO can go out to the market and the DEXs and set up their own market, so they're speculating during the development for it, right? So with a sacrifice, it's kind of different. Everyone will only get their tokens when the product goes live. So there's no speculation, at least not on the chart on the DEX, prior to that happening, right? So that's kind of interesting, and that is well, if we don't take into account all of the all of the sacrifice disclaimers and all of the freedom of speech and all of that, right? But just from a technical perspective, that is the main difference from a sacrifice and an ICO.
Yeah, well, not the ICO's got bad rep because of all the founders coins and the VC coins, and that's kind of where they get a bad rep from. And of course, in DeFi we generally moved on from all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Darknet says, what will PUSD do that will differ itself from liquid loans and not mess up the Pulsechain chart? He says.
Well, I don't think liquid loan mess up the Pulsechain chart. I think that's very, too short of a time frame to look at something like that. I think it's hugely beneficial, and there's no doubt that it needs to be on the chain. It's a quality product. And what we will differ is simply that when you have an algorithmic stablecoin, you can scale the TVL to enormous heights, and you can bring in more risk to that capital. But it opens an entire new gateway of capital and basically chain outreach in this crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's really these stable coins, at least the stuff that's not staked, potentially allows you, if it grows, it allows more of that to circulate and potentially buy the good stuff and take it off the market, and it just makes the TVL go up and up and up, sort of a positive cycle. So that's what kind of we're looking at there.
Yeah, exactly.
Crypto AYO says, would $100 investment make me a millionaire? I know you can answer for that one.
I don't think we generally answer questions like that, right? Because, but I think we all hope so. But yeah.
All right, cool. Let me. We got another question here. Archie says, "Can you please explain how the 1% mint tax will be used?"
Yeah, sure. So we do pay out inflationary rewards in algo, and when you mint PUSD, you are taxed 1% from the algo you're spending to mint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's this screen. Yep.
Yes, and this here will be used in the ecosystem to basically pay out as incentives. So we are recycling that value generation that happens in that moment. Because when someone decides to take $100 and turn them into $99, then they obviously just created or lost $1, and we are basically taking that and repaying that back to the protocol stability miners.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So that includes the algo and the 1%.
It's currently not deducting the amount on the UI here. I can see.
Yeah, but you're referring to the algo being given back as rewards for issuing new stablecoins, and then the 1% fee is going to be burned. Is that correct?
So in this case here, since you're the minter, you would be the one that pays that fee, and that fee will be collected inside of the ecosystem and be paid out as a reward to a stability miner or a stake or whatever scenario where someone needs to be paid a reward. Basically, what we do is that we don't transfer any token rewards between the contracts. Every contract simply has a complete mint and burn function, so that if the contract sees that there's an algo that is spent over here, we can just, or burned over here, we can simply just mint it over here. So instead of transferring, we are just minting across all of the contracts in a dynamic way.
Yeah, okay, cool. So this is a smart contract to do the transfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else we got here? Let's jump through some of those. Great AMA, says DGen. I appreciate that. We got some funny comments in there. I'll jump through some of those. They're funny though. Let me just jump some of those. Christian says the earn sounds like fire. Nice one.
We hope it will be. That's the design purpose.
Archie says, based on the simulations you have done already, do you have any idea how much algo buy and burn may offset inflation?
That's a very good question. It's a very difficult question, and it's not something that I am able to give a concrete answer on here today, but it's definitely one of the things that we have to be very aware about, because this entire ecosystem is in some ways also dependable on the value of algo growing, because we all know how much that draws in new attention and new users to the ecosystem. So why did Terra Luna gain so much attention? Well, it was probably partially to the tech, right? But it was definitely also because a lot of people were looking at Luna doubling its value every second day, right? So it's a two-part thing where we have to understand that increasing the value of algo is probably one of the absolute most important things right after keeping the peg. So we will adjust all of these economic levers towards those two things, basically protecting the peg first, and secondary pumping the value of algo with any levers that we can utilize.
Fantastic. We've just got, just noticed that Abit here has drawn the winners, and Abit has just messaged the winners of the 15 million BLS giveaways. Congratulations to all those winners. So check your DMs. That's basically the way it works. All right, cool. Congratulations. A great prize. Appreciate that, Jacob. It was really good.
Yep. Congratulations to all winners.
Let's get out here. We got Kempatch says got a 1.85x bonus. Well done to you, Kempatch, in the sacrifice for the PSD algo. Well done.
Well, that sounds like a very nice sacrifice. Congratulations. A 185 is way above average, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. 100% support for Jacob. Look forward to seeing this innovation below the market out of the water. Says,
thank you very much, KRG, for the continuous support. He's a very, very good community member of a previous project as well, and we all very much appreciate this guy.
Awesome. We got Vibra Finance in house. Good to see you, Vibra Finance. Welcome to the chat. Who else has jumped in here?
I think we have actually some content coming very soon together with Vibra Finance, so you might want to check that out in their channel. If there's upcoming content with PUSD, if you want to listen to me speak even more, get more questions, I think that's maybe tomorrow, but maybe he can confirm in the chat either. I'm not
awesome.
sure.
Let us know their Vibra Finance. So as you see, folks, more eyes are getting put on this. More influencers will be covering it. So this just continue to build, which is pretty awesome. We got Jacob always delivers, says Sumbo Ed. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Max Payne in the house. Good to see Max Payne. Getting excited. Diddle says prototype app shows swap and buy. Can you share more on that buy feature?
Yeah, we will just have a on-site UI to swap between all of the tokens. That's basically it, and we will probably have control over the fees using that, but we want it to be more competitive than the average DEX over at Pulsechain, because as you know, anyone who's trading over at Pulsechain, they are extracting some value for the buy and burn. So if we were just listing, imagine we listed our PUSD on Pulsechain, we would literally forever have to fight a buy and burn fee for no reason, right? So that is literally impossible to do. We would have to deploy this on our own DEX, because otherwise we don't need enemies for no reason, right? So yeah, there are many reasons why it has to work this way, and you know, having your own pool with your own set of rules and your own fees and all of this is just the only way this could ever happen in my mind.
Sure, great. So got a related question here. Will the buy feature on the prototype do more than swap? You can't answer that, did you?
Yeah, I guess maybe Gusto here is referring to some sort of fiat unwrap. I'm not too concerned with that. I think the community can take care of that.
Yeah. I've got a question here from Fusion Streams. When are we anticipating launch? Which is always a good question.
Well, the development is quite advanced, both from the front end perspective and from we have some prototype contracts and everything is running pretty smooth. But you know, as with everything else, software is hard and it takes time. And you know, entirely new innovation that hasn't been done for is you know, that takes even more time. And in this case here, when we have such a high risk profile, we also want to take our time in reality, right? Because if we rush this, I'm not entirely sure that would be the smartest approach. So there will be audits and there will be white hacker programs. So if you are looking for a project that is launched in 14 days to do a you know, a quick flip, this is probably not it.
Yeah. Another question here from Archie. How will you prevent or manage external MEV bots from interfering with the stability miners?
There's multiple ways of doing that. We can block contracts from actually interacting with it if we want to, straight up, and we can do all sorts of things. But basically, since we own the pool ourselves, we always kind of have the first hand into what happens. So it's really it's more a protocol decision of what kind of margin we will allow on the DPEG, which means that if we set that to 0, it literally means that our stability miners will just be sold into immediately on every sales order, but also on every buy order, they will earn all of the fees. So by increasing that margin to when you trigger the stability miner, that's basically when you open up for a market for the arbitragers. So the third parties can drive the peg themselves, which then kind of a balance where that the result of that is that you involve external actors that earn a portion of the fees, so the protocol now earns less fees, but at the same time you're also risking less capital in the stability miners, simply because it has to depeg significantly more before you are eating into that capital that is waiting to buy up the peg, right? So there's some very important decisions around what should the margin size around the peg be, and should there even be one, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Now we're coming up to 58 minutes on the hour. Is anything that you want to get that we haven't covered that you want to get across to the people watching today?
Well, thank you for your time, and I hope it has been informative. Always, I try to explain stuff so that's consumable for anyone. And you know, if you have any feedback or just any ideas or any questions, please join our channels. We are more than willing to answer almost any question you might have. I hope this has sparked just a small interest in you, and if it has, I'm sure that you can drop by and we will gladly provide you even more content. So. Yeah, thank you this time, Superman, once again. It has been
fantastic.
A great round. Good questions from the chat. I really appreciate. And
yeah, it's been really good. So if you guys want to go back and watch, I've posted out all the short clips from going through the platform that we covered last time. So if you want to see every single individual element there, so all the different components of the current dashboard prototype, then you can check out the short videos that I've posted from the last interview. They're all been cut up into nice little eatable sizes. Obviously, the sacrifice is open at the moment, so you can participate in that, and you can get straight off the bat a 90% referral bonus using the one in the video description. So you can use that. The other one, of course, if you do have $1,000, then you are lucky because you're on day 15, and the minimum range for that bonus is 1.5 to 2. So you get a random number multiplier between that range, and that will just add you your second big bonus. So you can see here, this person here got 90% referral, and they were lucky enough once they went over $1,000, they ended up getting a 1.62 bonus there. So
10,000 turned into 17,000 through applying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that 10,000 turned into 17,000, and they got all these amount of Algo, Flex, and Wrap PUSD.
Who has the highest bonus X? Can you click on that?
Yeah.
I just want to see. I haven't looked at it.
This one here?
No, just in the top, you can click on the bonus X just to sort it by the highest. Yeah, okay.
199.
That's a pretty good combination. 19 and 199. I don't think you can do it better than that. Otherwise, you have to be extremely lucky.
Yeah, that's incredible. So this person here got 90% referral, which is you can use in the video description, and they got a 1.99x multiplier, which is fantastic. So well
some of the bigger wallets, they would love to have that wallet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that rate holds the whole time, so the whole 45 days of the sacrifice period.
Yes, you only get the multiplier once when you cross the 1,000, and that will follow the entire period. So if you get a good multiplier, you can consider if you want to increase. Yeah.
So after you've done your due diligence and you think you want to participate, you can use the link in the video description to get to this website and get that 90% referral bonus. And if you do have $1,000, your chance that you'll get a extra bonus there with 1.5 to 2, which is pretty cool. Getting on early there. All right, looks good. I think we'll wrap up there. I do appreciate you coming back on again, Jacob.
Of course, always. You have provided so much value to the community through the Hex times and the Pulsechain times, so I will always honor coming on for the interview with you. And I also look very much forward to our upcoming interview with the TYRH V4. We are just wrapping around the last details on that, so that will be nice to give you some small insight and juicy stuff around that.
We had a number of people asking questions about that, and that is coming up for your answers to that in the next live stream. So stay tuned for all that.
Thank you very much.
Big shout out to Abit for organizing all the giveaway and getting the community rallied. Really appreciate that. And of course, Vibra Finance coming up for another interview with Jacob. So that's going to be fun too. We've got a few thanks. Thanks from Archie. Lots of love there. Pretty cool. Good way to finish, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Max Payne as well, and we'll catch you next time, I think.
Goodbye. Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody, and bye for now.